All right, now we're going to address the three areas for differentiation strategies in regards to content, process, and product. And there's definitely a lot of overlap between content and process as we talk about students engaging in the process of learning the content. But the product stays pretty independent. But what's universal about all of these things is we constantly are thinking about the buffet, multimodal means of, those are two key areas to address in this regard. So let's just get started with content, and we'll look at that first. So the content is what you put out there. And because of the diverse literacy needs of our students that we know that they need us to differentiate product, process, and content of learning according to their style, their interest, and their readiness. And that's why multimodal is so important. And it's an ongoing adjustment. It leaves the door open for a ton of flexibility. So we're going to look at specific strategies and techniques in these areas that will not only help all your students, but provide you with solutions when it comes to partnering with like special ed and things like that, on accommodations and grading as well. So we're going to take a look at content right now. The knowledge and skills that students need to master, that's the content. So one suggestion or one strategy for this is creating resource hubs. You don't have to be a librarian to create a Pathfinder. And anything you do that's project-based, the more you can consolidate it and create resource hubs, the better off you are. So one thing you can do with resource hubs is provide level texts, all right? A variety of different ways to engage in the same topic, but at different levels, so that you're able to tap into everyone's learning need, supplementing with videos whenever possible, providing audios or podcasts, images, collages of pictures, infographics, anything you can do. You could have one web page with a variety of materials that students can engage with. Some can be for research. So I'll show you this example with Pathfinders. This is Chapel Hill Library. So librarians will very often create Pathfinders for different units of study. A teacher say, hey, we're going to be doing this, and this is how our students, what our topic's going to be. Can you start creating a Pathfinder for us? So finally, so the librarian will create a Pathfinder, something simple that students can tap into to quickly find information on that topic. So that's basically what a Pathfinder is. I think they can get really sophisticated and wonderful. Engaging. So it could be simple doc, but you can also tap into it and make it into a website. Project Adopt a Country was my absolute favorite project. Unfortunately, I didn't get to grow with it, so it became what I envisioned it as being. But you can see this is a website. And this is a parallel project. So a lot of virtual teachers have like a 20% project where students work on a passion project throughout the year when they're ahead or have downtime and the teacher can't work with them, that they work on something that's like running parallel to their regular curriculum. And that's what Project Adopt a Country was. And so what I did was created a website for the entire project that would run the year. These are all the things that they do. Introduce the project with a welcome video. So if somebody's absent or they're new, they came in like a month late that year, they can watch the video, they know what to do. And then each lesson has the instructions, has examples and things like that. So packaging your resources or your project into hubs. And I think Google Sites are really great hubs for different projects. Here's one example, Bee Research Starter. So a research starter on honeybees goes into a little more depth on how to search, like what the keywords are, using the library databases and particular links with an overview for annotation for the students. And I mentioned this earlier, but I love this, the way that this is presented. It's packaged, the week's work, and there's these slides that they click on and go to. And I think that is a really engaging way to package your work. So resource hubs. That's tip number one. So when you think about a learning scenario that you're presented with to work on, resource hubs can be a great way to accommodate. They allow their case managers and their support workers, their parents to access that if they need help. It's just a great way to provide support for anything you're doing, whether it's a project, a unit of instruction, or a single assignment. And screencasting. Screencasting is an essential skill. Sometimes we think of screencasts just to, introduce, like what I'm doing right now. I'm making a tutorial or recording this workshop. But you can introduce a single lesson, you can model how to do something, you can welcome your class, you can demo tools, you can provide feedback. That's what's really awesome, is you can provide feedback with screencasts. So that formative assessment, screencasting, or flipping classroom is essential. So I've linked a presentation that you can watch on, what is all the fuss about screencasting. If you're not screencasting, if you haven't been screencasting, you're definitely going to want to get going with that. Visual rubrics and checklists. So the other piece is we think about rubrics and we're like, we just like make this grid and populate it with standards and we move along, right? Well, students really benefit from whenever you can represent things visually. So here is an example of a visual rubric, which really gives the student a sense of where you're going with this, okay? So in this example, we're assigning them the need to create a graph and annotate it. So this shows that you're going to get 2 points with the title. The graph represent type best represents this type of data. Horizontal and vertical y-axis are labeled, etc. This may not be a perfect rubric in terms of accountability or numeracy, but it's a great representation of how a visual rubric can really help students get to the finish line. So there's links in your handout. I'll just quickly jump over to show you that the visual rubric is embedded on the site. So when they go to this assignment, they have the rubric. There's also a checklist. So is my data entered? Is my graph tucked nice and neat? Because they may see this, but then they overlook some details. So some clarifying questions and then an exemplar of what a final product might look like. So visual rubrics, checklists, and exemplars can be super helpful. And in regards to the project, just keep in mind that it's all on one page. Here's a screencast on how to do it. Here's the assignment. Here's the rubric, here's the checklist, and here's the example. So that's really best practice if you want to have like just a one-stop shop to meet their needs. And in the next video, we'll start looking at process, which includes some content, and some content includes some process. So, but in the next video, we'll look at specific activities, ideas for students when they're tackling content.